Yeah,
myself.
right. That's the upgraded plan. Oh, I guess we're live. I just accidentally hit the live button. So here we are. I was going to do a countdown clock and, um, run my video. Guys, if you can hear me out there, if there's anyone with us here, this is Criptex here joining us here for an interview on the Amateur Broadcasting Network. And he will be our fourth episode. Of course, number 3 is still somewhere in the ether as Mr. Steve is still waiting in the green room for that episode to happen. But I didn't want to take his episode number. I thought it was unfair to both him to take his number and unfair to you to not assign you your own number. So you are officially number 4. And welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Criptex. Thank you very much for coming on today, and looking forward to giving chatting you up a little bit. How you doing today?
Perfect, Farmer. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm honored, man. I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you, Farmer, again.
Absolutely.
And you said it, Steve. Steve is the man, man. Steve is the man.
What was that?
Steve, True Crime Web. He's the man.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I know. I've always wanted him to ask me to be on his show, but you notice Steve doesn't have guests. He doesn't have to worry about wondering if somebody. He just doesn't do it. I mean, he doesn't even let Mrs. Steve on there anymore. I'm just kidding, Mrs. Steve. I know you probably do that because you don't want to keep doing that every night, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's been going out as much, Mr. Steve. But anyways, Criptex, I wanted to have you on because, as you know, first of all, are you seeing any comments? Do we have anybody watching us? Did I do this right?
I think you are the one who's gonna be able to watch the number of viewers.
Right, because it's my channel. Yeah. Oh, hey, Sub Rosa's here. Oh, good. Thank you, Sub Rosa, for saying something. You're the only one that. Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
Good. Do we? Can you hear both of us? Okay. Sub Rosa, Shay is here. Good. Excellent.
Shay's there.
Good. Yeah, Shay Watson. Yep.
Shay Watson. Shay Watson, man. I'm gonna tell you something. It's coming. She has a great story about the squatter, and I'm gonna do something with her. We are working on that, and it's gonna be cool, man. We have VIP viewers today. Hello, Sub Rosa. Hello.
I'll do it for nobody as long as I can be heard. But I don't want to just sit here like one of those people, that they're talking for 15 minutes and they're not even paying attention to the cues. And if people are going like this and they're screaming at them in the chat and they don't seem to get it. But I just like to start out. But I gotta say, honestly, broadcasting without all that extra bullshit, if I do sound okay. I mean, Criptex, you got a nice microphone. I see you got the filter on the front there. You sound really good. But
really
this is so much. This is so much easier than trying to run a soundboard. Yeah, but I'm old school because I refuse to do USB plugins. Everything has to have a metal 1/4-inch jack on it, and it's got to go through adapters. And it's got to be like analog converted to digital, because I'm just that, as I wind up my Victrola record player, I like that retro stuff. And, speaking of that, Criptex, I don't want this always just to be about crime. I mean, I'd like to get to know you a little bit. What besides doing this kind of stuff? I mean, I know you probably work a lot. But when you do get some time, I see you put up a lot of quite a number of videos with Crispy. For anybody that doesn't know, Crispy is Criptex is that a spring? Is it a Springer Spaniel? What is Crispy?
It's a Cocker Spaniel. She's not pure. It's a mix. It's a mix between a Cocker Spaniel and I don't know what's the other race.
They don't have to be pure. It's not Germany in 1942. I mean, they're fine. It's okay.
Exactly, but I just love her, man. It's the love of my life. I love her. I love her.
How important, that's going to lead me into kind of my first question. I mean, because as we go through life, I mean, neither one of us are getting any younger, Criptex, me and you. I mean, I'm 50 plus, you're 40 plus, I don't know exactly how old, but, I mean, I used to work at the circus, 47.
Yep.
So I'm pretty good judge of weight and height and age. I would have guessed you at 47 exactly. So I was right on. But as far as your dog goes, and I have a couple dogs, and I love my dogs. I see that you probably a little more active with your dogs than I am with mine. Um, you take them for walks and stuff like that. I mean, I tend to take mine for car rides. Is that the same thing? Do you think the dog is still feeling that time with me, or do I need to get out there and sort of hoof it with the dog? That's your first question.
What are your dogs? What type of dogs you have?
My little one is, and again, it was my mom's dog. Now that she's, so it's like, I kind of, I love these dogs, and I'm not the kind of person that just because the owner can't have them. I won't say they didn't want them because that wasn't the case. It wasn't it wasn't abusive, but I just got these dogs now. I didn't go out looking for dogs, but I got two dogs, and one is he's little, like a Shih Tzu. That's
Chihuahua?
Louis. He's the huh?
Like a
It's like
Chihuahua?
a Pyrenees. What?
Chihuahua? No.
No,
Chihuahua.
no, no. This thing grows hair like
Okay.
curly hair like every few months you gotta shave this thing down. You know what I'm saying? Or else it can't poop. The dog can't poop if you don't shave it because everything's there, I guess. And so that's kind of a hassle. Where my bigger dog, her name's Mary Jane. I really don't know what she is. She looks like a dingo. Shay has 6 dogs. Holy crap. That's a lot of dogs, Shay. I don't know. I love them. I love the 2 I got, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna let anything happen to them, but 6 is a lot. 6 is enough.
It's a lot.
How many? You just got the one? I mean, have you always been a pet owner, Criptex? Have you always, even as a kid, wanted to have an animal, or is this a new kind of emotion for you?
Before my dog, I had a rabbit. He died like 2 years ago.
I don't mean to be insensitive. Is
No,
that quite as important as a dog? I mean, did you love the rabbit? Did you love the rabbit as much as you love the dog?
When my rabbit died, I was depressed like for 6 months, man. I was depressed.
Really? Oh man, I'm sorry.
He
I didn't mean
was
to make
very, very intelligent. He was an angel.
Really?
It was
How big?
depressing, man. Depressing.
Oh, how long did the rabbit live?
Normally, they live like maybe 12 years old. My rabbit died after 2 years, and I think it was my fault, and that's why I was really depressed at the time. After he died, I get my crazy dog. She's crazy. My rabbit was the angel. She's the devil, man. Here.
Do you think they would have been friends, the rabbit and the dog?
Yeah, maybe because I have a turtle as well, and they go well together, my dog and my turtle. So
you think you'll get another rabbit someday?
I don't think so. I think I'm just for one pet at the time. One dog, one rabbit, one turtle. But yeah, man, I just love her. I love my dog, man.
Oh, the dog's adorable. I love watching the videos, and very active. And it keeps you probably, although something tells me you were probably, would you consider yourself to be athletic? I mean, maybe, I know we're getting older, probably putting on, but you said you like soccer. I remember kind of picking that up from a previous conversation. Am I to probably assume that you played organized sports at some point, either, down south, as we say, or up north? I mean, both are pretty good soccer areas.
I used to play soccer at the time, but my legs are not the same. My knees are destroyed. I try to just right now. I'm just walking, trying to do some activities on the snow. I have like a mini skis that is named Snow Fit. It's just to slide on the snow. And you can do that on the streets. You don't have to go to the mountains, etc.
Right.
But I'm not the same, man. Before I was really active. Today I'm just walking with my dog, trying to do some.
Did you have a particular injury, or was it just something that happened over time from playing sports?
Yeah, from time to time I had some type of injuries in my knees, so
Always the knees.
I try not to stress too much my knees, man, as before.
Yeah.
But I used to play soccer. Soccer was my thing, and here in Canada, yeah, activities in the snow, ski, snow fit, stuff like that.
I mean, if you guys get bored, you could just take a broom or something and shove like a chunk of ice or some shit and try to hit a target. I mean, I don't know what you guys do up there, but you know,
That's
I
what
mean,
I do
whatever
right
you call
now.
entertainment. What's that? Oh yeah, there you go.
That's what I do.
You got to stay warm. You got to stay warm. You know. I know.
Exactly.
I would go for a nice cocktail. That sounds pretty good. I don't drink a lot, but occasionally I do.
That's good.
It's every time I'm on the air with you. You know, I feel like I think because I see you and you make it look good. Like you're like a commercial almost for it.
It's not a good example, man.
Well,
Actually,
but I'm not looking for a mentor. You know, I'm not looking for a fucking mentor. I mean, I'm looking for someone I can hang out and have a drink with. You know.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you guys.
What about you, Farmer? What do you do, like sports, or what's your thing?
You know, I tried it once. I always liked baseball when I was a kid. You know.
Baseball is
And
cool.
yeah, and I wasn't really tough enough for football. I mean, you got to be tough for football. You know, you got to really like getting hit and hitting other people, and that just wasn't really what I was into. But I really wasn't into really too much running or having to put on a uniform or having to catch a ball or having to hit a ball. I was terrible at it, and it was an afterthought. I had never played, and here I am already in my teen years, and I even got into the season late, like halfway through. My mom somehow got me onto this terrible Bad News Bears team where until I came along, the coach's son was the worst, you know, player on the team. He was kind of a pudgy kid. And the only reason he was on the team is because his dad was the coach. Well, I was terrible. I'll be honest with you. I hated it. It was uncomfortable. I never played another sport because I didn't know what I was doing. I could, you know, I mean, they put me out in left field and I would just watch the ball come and it would just land in front of me. You know, I mean, it was the worst. The only I would swing at the ball, but nothing would connect. The only way I could get on base was if the ball hit me. So you know, I would manage to get hit by the ball a lot, probably on purpose. Other than that,
that's something. That's something, man.
Growing up in my neighborhood, I grew up. You know, you guys all know that I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's a. I would call it a relatively blue collar town, but probably one that's focused too on education with a major university. So it's very diverse, but there weren't a lot of places for me and my friends to have green space at that time. It's just a lot of gridded roads with those, you know, 2 and 3 bedroom, I guess you would call them a ranch style, 1 level house, you know, kind of cookie cutter. Yeah. And those were the neighborhoods I grew up in. So we played all of our sports on the cement. And I knew, trust me when I tell you, my friends were crazy. I mean, I had to stop hanging out with them. They were bad. They probably wouldn't mind me saying that. I'm talking about my neighborhood friends, the ones you don't have a choice. You know what it's like you don't really have a choice. And that's a good question for you. Like, you know, I mean, as you sort of matured through life, I mean, in your neighborhood or wherever you grow up, you don't have a choice kind of who, until you're upwardly mobile, who you're sort of, you know, hanging out with and choosing to be around, or even whatever extracurricular activities you may want to get yourself mixed up in, per se, at a young age. You're kind of stuck with whatever the flavor, if you will, of the neighborhood is. So I guess when you were coming up, what was the flavor of your neighborhood? What was the, you know, like, what were you sort of forced? Who was the Criptex you were forced to be based on your demographics? And then who was the Criptex that you became once you sort of struck out on your own and did your own thing?
Oh man, at the time was really, really hard. You know, I'm from Colombia. My city is Medellin. Medellin is the city of Pablo Escobar. So
now, is that the capital or is it Detroit? I can't remember.
No, the capital is Bogota, and Medellin is like the second.
Bogota. Okay.
Yeah, Medellin is like the second city in Colombia, and that was the city of the narcos, Pablo
Oh, sure.
Escobar and the
Oh
cocaine.
yeah, the Medellin. It's the only reason that rubes like me even know how to pronounce that town's name, because it was in every news. It was in every splashed across every you know what I mean, news medium that there was in the day. But go ahead, please.
No, exactly. So sometimes I was in the living room with my family, my parents, my sister, just talking, having a good conversation in front of the balcony, and just like that, boom, we observed like it was like Beirut, man, like the
Wow.
Lebanon, explosions everywhere. So we turn on the radio. Oh, there's an explosion in Medellin 5 minutes ago, and we were just watching the smoke, and it was
Wow.
horrible, man. It was
Oh.
scary. It was not easy, but
Oh.
that was
Did
the
that only happen one time, or was that something that happened regularly?
not regularly because look, everyone was looking after Pablo Escobar. The Colombian government, the U.S. Army, the DEA, the
And
FBI. In
at your
Colombia, there
age,
was
this would have put you back there at the time of high activity. I'm assuming too, with that kind of trade. I mean, that was very topical in the '80s. I'm guessing
exactly
late '80s, mid to late
80s and
'80s.
90s. It was
Yeah.
crazy, man. So
So
yeah,
you would just be sitting there, and an explosion would go off. Now, would that be sort of the gang side of things, or would that be in the government troops in response to what they were doing, or something?
it was a combination of everything, man. It
Was
was
it?
a war. It was a war between cartels because in Colombia, everyone was after Pablo Escobar. So Pablo Escobar was
Right.
the leader of the Medellin cartel, let's say.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
there were other cities like Cali or Bogota, whatever, and all of
Hmm.
those mobsters, they were coming to get Pablo Escobar. The U.S. Units like the DEA, the
They
FBI,
were coming.
the
Right.
Colombian government, everyone was there in my city looking
Right.
for him,
Wow.
and he has his own army. So there was like
Right.
a war territory there. It was really really complicated. So, and that's why at one point I said it's better to look for another country to get out of here.
Yeah.
I love my country, but I didn't
Sure.
feel safe, So let's go to explore another thing, and that's why that was the idea to get out of Colombia.
Speaking Criptex, speaking of that process, coming from Central America, or is it
South
South
America,
America? Or
South
is it
America.
South America? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
South America to North America.
Yeah,
Um, and you're talking the '80s. I mean, what was it, a process where whoever's doing that then is super scrutinized because of what else is already going on in your country? So, like, when you're coming here, are you going to have to go through 20 extra steps? You know what I mean? Because of your geographic location that you come from, or did you find the process to be relatively easy for Canada? I guess not for America, but
in my case, I was very lucky. It was relatively easy
good.
because I was already like a professional in my country. I was graduated
Okay.
in the university. So,
Hmm.
Canada is looking for people who have like an interesting job or work experience, graduated people who was able to talk in English, in French, whatever. So
Hmm.
I I was ready to come here. They have a like a screen, is and I was part of that. I don't know how to say, but I was like lucky. I had the privilege to meet all the the requirements they were asking for to come here.
Right.
But it's not the same for everybody in Colombia. A lot of
Right.
people, they want to come here and they are not able to come because they are not professionals or because they don't have enough money in their bank account or because there's a lot of requirements, and I was
Sure.
really lucky because I was able to meet all of those requirements to be here. And I was always very interested in learning languages. So I
Now,
learned in
did you
Colombia.
know?
I learned English in Colombia. So all of these situations helped me to be here.
Were you fluent in French before you came to your province, or is that something you learned after you got there?
Before, but my teacher, she was a Belgian teacher. She was uh, actually she was Colombian, but she lived in Belgium during a lot of time. So I
You said, did
learned,
you say Belgium?
yeah, exactly,
Okay,
the country.
Antwerp or something like that. Antwerp, I think.
Belgium is just next to France, you know.
Right,
So let's say I learned French from France, you know, and I
right,
was
right.
watching uh, television from France, whatever, and I was convinced that I was excellent in French. But when
Hmm.
I came here to Canada, oh my God, they
And
were
how
not
quick were
able
they?
to
How
understand.
quick were they to point that out to you?
Sorry?
How quickly did the French Canadians point that out to you that you weren't perfect at it?
Oh man, I'm still learning, I think. No, let's
But I
say
mean,
maybe 6 months.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's I find that so incredible, man, to be able to even pick up another language. I mean, I tried a few different languages. I have a hard enough time speaking my native language, which is supposedly English. But do you think that learning languages and things like that, be it those kind of skills, or even writing computer program or something where you have to put, like you say, two wires together to make that connection, do you think that's a direct tie-in to web sleuthing? Do you think that that's part of, and even if you look at what maybe you do for a living, I know I look at what I've done my whole life for a living and why I like doing it in terms of, sleuthing a case. I think it does directly relate. I feel like I brought skills, even though I'm just a pizza guy. But when you deliver to people's houses for 35 years, you really get a sense for who people are at home versus who they are out in public, and how they let their guard down, and or how they put their guard up. You know what I mean? It's very much different. And I'm just wondering, do you feel that was a direct tie-in? Because you could spend what little time you have. I mean, you work hard, you have a dog, you're doing things in life, but something tells me you spend a good amount of time making these videos that you make. And by the way, when did you start making videos initially
I,
for
I
broadcast?
I had my channel like since forever, but I was just putting like goofy videos with my dog,
Just like
me and my
shorts or something, a few
bicycle, or
seconds.
like Facebook or Instagram stuff.
Sure. Right, right.
And when I learned about the Delphi case, that's the point my channel changed the direction of
Mhm.
at that point I was just making content about Delphi, about true crime. That's why I was creating content, let's say. Uh, but before it was just goofy videos, and I was always really or very involved in editing applications, trying to make videos. I have like uh, I don't want to sound arrogant, or I don't know, but I have like an artistic side.
Sure.
I love to write. I already wrote a couple of books in Spanish. I love editing, making videos. At one point I was painting. Horrible. I'm not a painter at all, but
But you
I
wanted
love
to
that.
try,
You know
you
what I
wanted to
mean?
do it. Yeah. Sure.
And my background is in engineering. So I was like my actually I work as a I work in engineering, and
Sure.
but I really love the artistic side, So anyway,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
in
if I
many
answered
ways,
your question, but was
I
turning
don't
into.
remember either, but I don't remember either, but that was great. And in many ways, I feel like engineering is a creative process, really. When you look at the research and development side of things, that oftentimes starts at a place
Yeah,
a product or a service that isn't even implemented yet, and then you have to engineer your way through that, or you have to reverse engineer your way out of another process, right? So
exactly.
I would think that those skills serve you well in this community, and I've noticed that you do. I mean, I think one thing that sets you sort of apart, Criptex, is that it's noticeable that you enjoy doing it. I'm not saying that other
Exactly.
people don't enjoy doing it, but that you take that extra step to make awesome intros and outros and little skits and even take people that I mean, I think I get the sense that you like the sort of element of surprise of making a small 1 or 2 minute sort of thing for somebody and then putting it out there and getting their reaction. I love it personally. Like when I turn on my computer in the morning and the first thing looking back at me is me, and it's by a completely different creator. I mean, I never thought I never thought that I even had an ego, but apparently I do because it's like, oh wow, I love that. So when I watched the prediction commercial that you did, for example, I mean, I rebroadcast that everywhere I go to the store. I'm like, look, I'm on the internet, and I start showing, really, it's that dorky. Um, so I mean,
I,
you got to get past that point sometime, in terms of broadcasting, clearly people that are more prolific than us, and you're much more prolific than I am. I mean, you must kick out at least a solid show every week to two, and then a bunch of little skits here and there. You do like, I mean, but you never are sitting still. It's gonna not be a month before. With me, unfortunately, being sort of flighty or whatever right now, until I get things settled in life. Um, I can't guarantee that and then before it was technical issues. So I was really on a roll for a second and then it just crushed me. But I really do like that it's noticeable when someone isn't just doing this for, and I don't mean web sleuthing, I mean just broadcasting in general and then expecting people to watch you and become a subscriber. Not you, what I'm saying, whoever is doing it. And like I said, I mean, some of these bigger channels, I have 20, 30, 40,000 subscribers or, whatever. I'll see all this money going by. They don't even bother to thank anyone. They're
I
sitting there
know.
as if they just expect it. And to me, it's like that just, it doesn't set well with me. It's not what I want to do for a living like that. Cause then I feel like I'm selling myself,
Yeah.
not selling myself out. I don't feel like that. I mean, I feel like if I was good at writing songs, maybe I would sell those and make money doing it. I mean, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the money side of YouTube?
Well, I don't get a lot of money too, for
No,
sure.
no, I know.
My channel, no, no, but let me explain. My channel
Sure.
is still a small channel. Of course, I would love to have 1,000 or I don't know a lot of subscribers, but the size of my channel is really cool because I have I have a very cool subscribers like you have here Cindy, you have Shay, you have Sub Rosa, and we can interact with them. We
Mm-hmm.
can read their comments. We can answer their questions. As you were
Yeah.
saying, if we have 100,000 subscribers, those comments are gonna be lost. We are not gonna be
Right.
able to read it. So it's cool because it's a small community, and it's not only that. We can help people here. When you think about Barbara Hall, her son was murdered. Steve
Timmy.
is working on her case. I
Right.
have
Yep.
Barbara on my channel. It's cool to have that feeling of, helping people here.
Yeah.
We have a project, farmer. One of your friends were murdered, was killed.
Right.
We want to
Yeah.
work on that type of investigation, let's say. We
Yeah.
can do that because we are still a small community, you know. But when the community gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, of course, people are gonna be just lost in the ocean,
Sure.
let's say. So I'm just having fun with my subscribers, with my viewers. Shay Watson is here.
I love Shay. I
She,
know.
she has a crazy situation with a squatter, man. We are working on that, so that's cool because the connection is there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. I mean, I have 170 or 180 subscribers. I don't even call them subscribers. I just call them friends. Because I don't know what they're subscribing to. I wouldn't assert that anyone should subscribe to any notion of what I do. But I guess they need to go through that process if they want to get notified if we're doing a show, something like that. But that's not ever mattered to me. Those numbers. I think they could matter to me if I got there, but I don't want to. I just don't want that end of it for me. I just want to work. I don't want to. I don't want to make money this way. What I like about it is like what you said, is that although I don't know Sub Rosa, what Sub Rosa's name is, or even gender, or you could probably glean those things, but I don't care to. It's not important to me to know people what the personal details are, as long as the essence of that person brings something to the table in terms of a decent conversation. And I think the people that I met through Sleuth's channel, for being over there a couple years, I mean, that's a lot of the people that are here, for me. And then just through other channels, like you said, it sort of eats away at this notion that it's this sort of faceless, nameless landscape of digital debauchery, that this thing could be turned around. We could rein this in. This could become our thing. Okay,
Sure.
this internet. And it could be something positive, a good force, a positive force, instead of this sort of mysterious, what is it doing to me? Or what is it capable of? I mean, a car is capable, if you're drunk, of running people over. That's why you don't drink and drive. You put
Right.
rules in place,
Yeah, you
right?
know,
You put little rules in place.
and I think that the perfect example, I don't know if it's the perfect example, but I really love the channel of Steve, True Crime Web, because
I think it's a perfect
he's doing his
example.
own thing, but he's
Mm-hmm.
helping people, and it's a really nice community there, man. It's there's
And you
some
know what? He thinks out of the box. He really, he doesn't get stuck in his age or his time. He may be retired, but when you're like an officer, you're always having to update, sort of probably like a computer, programmer. You're always having to update your skills. And I think that plays a benefit overall in terms of how you approach life also. Because a lot of people, by the time they're Steve's age, by the time we're getting to Steve's age, by the way, close enough, closer to it than away from it, right? I'm over 50, so you get stuck in your ways is what I'm trying to say. And I think that as good as that can be, if they're good habits, great. But I have never wanted to feel like the other people around me that are 52 years old, and I don't. And I'm not saying anything bad about them. They have families. They have these sort of regimented lives where they do their, and I just don't. It's just a very freewheeling feeling, and I can't imagine trading that in for like, I mean, I want to be stable and work and take care of business, but I don't know.
well,
It's like listening to somebody who listens to classic rock that's, on the radio, and they play the same classic rock songs from those bands over and over as if those songs just came out. They don't even play deep cuts. And that's all they listen to the rest of their life because that's what they were into.
exactly.
And I just refuse to be like that, not just with music, but although I think that helped me be like that with other things, I really try to leave myself open to new experiences, even at my advanced age. And I think going back to what you were saying about True Crime Web and Mr. Steve, is to here you have a guy that was just on someone else's show as an expert guest basically who could bring the expertise to the table about this Delphi case or whatever Marvin Frank we're talking about, because that's where it was at.
Yeah, man.
And then
And
he, decides to strike out on his own. And he even helped me personally. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I mean, personal friends of mine, their adult son was missing. And that's right when I first got into web sleuthing. He made banners for me. He went live at 1 a.m. to do that. And so you're talking about somebody that doesn't just have a heart and think about doing the right thing, but actually does it. So it's where the rubber meets the road. And that's what officers, if you're a good attentive officer or a doctor or anybody or even a delivery driver, you got to be ready, like that.
yeah,
And I think that's what he brings to the table. And I hope he doesn't get sick of doing it or something. But I hope he also doesn't overwork himself. I mean, he is retired. Hopefully but I think I get the sense that he enjoys doing it though. And when you said the perfect show, here he's doing actual experiments.
and coming back to Steve, he has the whole experience being like a CSI crime investigator or technician, and he's not arrogant at all. He's listening to people. He's when you have that kind of experience, you can just go into your show and you don't know what you're talking about. I was there for 20 years working on a crime scene, and just get the fuck out of here. No, he listens to you. You have a good point, farmer. You have a good point, Mustang. I didn't think about that. Oh, I don't know. And one of the, when you listen to Steve, this is one of the most recurrent sentences. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, farmer. I don't know, Criptex. Let's think about that. It's really cool the way he thinks, the way he's like open-minded, and the way he's just working on cases like Evansdale, the case of Barbara Hall, of course, Delphi. It's awesome. I just love him.
And I love him too, and you're right. He actually sets an example, and for other web sleuths, but not just for other web sleuths. He to me, he does provide a bit of a bridge to part of a community that doesn't really accept what we do, and so I just think people like him and him in particular, obviously, a Ruckus. I mean, there are others too who have the ability to both behind the scenes talk to other law enforcement officers, engage a situation, and do that professional thing that they do. I mean, there's a reason why they were professionals, and then be able to come on the air. And I saw that as Steve's biggest, not downfall, but hurdle or obstacle was, like me at first, the technical sort of aspect of just running the show.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
seemed naturally comfortable on the air talking. Something tells me he probably stood up plenty of times in front of a room full of other officers and said, here's what we're doing for the day or whatever, So, but something also tells me about Steve that if you're the bad guy, you probably don't like him that much. You probably just don't like him that much because he probably scares the hell out of you because he is so honest.
No, and don't get me wrong. He has his personality, and that's part of his job. And when he has to say something, he's adamant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now he's awesome, man. And yeah, man.
And I'm not part of the show really. I don't go on the show much anymore, whatever. But I gotta say, man, I mean, I really feel that Sleuth Intuition, with the number of shows that he both has done and continues to do, that he really tries to stay formulaic about it. For as prolific as he is, like, he doesn't wander much. He's really on message, on point. I really think he's probably absolutely one of the best broadcasters on YouTube. Honestly.
No, he's awesome. He has a lot of skills. He's very consistent, as you say. So It's not like you or like me. We can do 3 or 4 shows in 1 week, and then we're gonna disappear for months. He's
Yeah, you're
very
right.
consistent. He's very
Right.
consistent, and that's very important.
It
Also, he,
is.
he has a great voice, like
He
you.
does.
You have a great voice, Farmer. That's
Oh, not like Sleuth Intuition, though, man. His voice really resonates.
no, it's awesome. That's why I'm.
Yeah. I mean, you have a good voice too. I never
But
liked it.
you have a great voice, and he's awesome when he's doing interviews.
He is.
The, he has the skill to be silent to make the other people to talk. It's hard to
Hmm.
make people. But of course, you're gonna talk nonstop for 4 hours. I know, but some people they just don't want to talk. But
Right.
when you are the host and you stay silent, the other guy he has no choice.
Right.
He has to talk, and Slut he knows that. So his interviews are
Psychological. It's a
awesome.
You're right. He does pull some psychological common traits into his interviews, both but also I think too in the chat. He knows how to handle people.
Yeah,
He really does. And I always have a great amount of affection for him overall. I really will. Um, let's see what's going on here in the chat. I don't know.
for
Our
sure.
picks match. Oh yeah, they sure do. Oh my god. Yeah, I think I own that same shirt. I don't know. I guess it was unisex. Um, I miss those big collars. Gosh, I love those. And polyester and anything else where it's up in smoke if you even get next to a cigarette or anything. You're just an immediate fire hazard. Um, oh, Cindy's with us. Hi, Cindy. How are you? I hope you're doing good.
I love Cindy, man.
Yeah,
Cindy's
I know Cindy's great. She's always very participatory in every show that I've been on. So,
yeah,
um,
she is.
and Sub Rosa also. I mean, I don't think I wasn't expecting too many folks tonight, but again, I mean, I put it up if any other creators want to, if anybody for that matter, anybody wants to call in or link up and come on and talk. You don't have to be on camera. You could put an avatar up or something like that. Um, you're welcome to do so. I think Criptex and I can make room for just about anybody. I think we both agree, Criptex, that making the people in the chat and not making it just feels natural to me. I started out in chat, so like to ignore it now doesn't feel natural. I'm always glancing at it, and I don't think this will be any fun to just record shit and throw it up on there and hope that someone liked it and I could get no feedback on live. This live, the uncomfortable. That was actually going to be my opening question for you, Criptex. So based on the content and the material that the I would say that the number of your shows are, which would have to do with web sleuthing, crime, unsolved murders. Not every show, obviously. You do other things also, but at what did you do to sort of satisfy that, or was that even there at all before the internet? I mean, was there anything that indicated that you would be into anything like cold case murders, or was that something that sort of as things morph into their own thing as we go through life and things are catalysts for other things, is that something that naturally happened when you saw it yourself on YouTube?
Uh, I don't know how to answer to your question, but I'm gonna start by just by being in my own city. There was a lot of crime there, a lot of murder. So I I grew with that situation in my city. And when you see my profession, what I do is I try to solve problems. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious, and maybe that's part of this. I want to. I'm not gonna be that arrogant to say I'm gonna be able to solve a cold case or a case
Sure.
like Delphi or something like that. But at least I think you and I and the viewers here, we have the ability to ask relevant questions. You know what I mean? So when we see that, hey, there are some gaps here, something is not adding up. What's going on here? So it's just like yeah, the curiosity or the willing to solve problems or cases, or at least to ask relevant questions. You know what I mean?
Sure, I absolutely, and just to pinpoint that a little bit more, then if you take that, that kind of covers the sort of the cold case web sleuthing end of it, but separate from that, then is the broadcasting angle of it. At what point when you started sort of being in this community and you're in chat and you're trying to help figure this stuff out and look at the clues, because it is like trying to solve a puzzle or put pieces together, and if you do what you do for a living, you do that naturally. I wouldn't say that's what I do naturally, but I do enjoy it. And so at what point though did you realize that maybe it wasn't quite enough? Because I always swore I would never have a channel. I would never broadcast. I didn't need to. You can ask anybody. I would go on as a guest onto a couple different shows because I had a couple good ideas, out of the box ideas, and they asked me to be on. But to have my own channel was a no go. And then one day I just said, well, why not? Because I had wanted to do something creative for so long. So I'm wondering for you, I mean, were you thinking about solving murders before broadcasting, or were you thinking about broadcasting? It's sort of the chicken or the egg. For me, it would have been broadcasting because my natural go-to is broadcasting, not detective.
Yeah, I got it.
That makes sense?
Uh, yeah, it makes sense, and I don't know how to answer that. I think it was like a perfect equilibrium. I love
Yeah.
the true crime, solving crimes. I love the videos, editing. I wanted to have a channel. I wanted to express my own ideas, my own theories. I didn't feel that in other channels I had the space to you know to say what I wanted to say, or maybe I have the space, but just like a comment in the chat, I was not. I I needed to go to another level. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
started I started making short clips at the beginning. I had like a good reception. I had like a number of subscribers going up. Then I was okay, maybe it's gonna be cool just to go live, to talk to the people, to interact in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So because I was really shy, I didn't want to go with my face, like that. Like
Right.
you are very charismatic. You are not shy, but I'm not the same.
I mean,
I
I'm
did
pretty shy. You wouldn't know it, but I actually am. But go ahead.
English is not my natural language, so
Right.
what I did was okay. Maybe let's put a mask and
Mm-hmm.
let's see what's gonna happen. And people were okay with that. They liked that. It was
Yeah.
I had like a good reception. Okay,
I like
and
that's when I first started watching you, and it gave you kind of like this street credibility.
yeah,
You look like a badass, like you were ready to. And everybody loves a hero.
exactly. Like the Captain Howdy, the like
Yeah, he's great. That
True
guy's an
Crime,
artist.
True Crime Jesus, and I
Right.
love those guys because they
Me
they
too.
they have like great minds, great voices, but they were
Mm-hmm.
artists.
They
When you
were,
think
they are. They weren't, I mean, they
they
still are.
are,
And yeah,
when
when I
you
would watch when Captain Howdy, a new video would come out, I mean, it might as well be the new whatever, Friends or whatever, Seinfeld. I mean, it might as well be on television. That's how it would just be like I need, and they were always about the right amount of time, you know. But again, though, that's a recorded thing. I do really like the element of it, of what we're doing right now. And that's just sort of maybe having a loose format or outline and just sort of rolling with it and doing it live. I like that. I don't, I'm not saying that I wouldn't make videos and do both, but to just do that, no way. But I see where I think for you, in my opinion, I mean, I can see that you enjoy much more than just the broadcasting end of it. That you really do like the creative process of the editing and the splicing and the mixing of media and all that stuff. And as much as I also do kind of like some of those elements, I had the technical roadblock in my way.
Yeah.
Do you feel like probably just doing what you do and being active in a more modern job than delivery driving probably kept you brushed up on those skills a lot easier, wouldn't you say? To just, I mean, if you enjoy editing, it's probably nothing for you to go on to any video editor and just tink, tink, tink and do whatever you want. I bet you just sit there like you own the world. Son of a gun.
Yeah, but editing, man, editing is a nightmare. That's why I really appreciate and I value what the Captain Howdy or True Crime Jesus they were
True.
doing, because 1 minute, let's say they if they were making a 20 minutes video, they were working for a month or more. You know, it's a
Right.
lot of effort, a lot of time. So that's why I was making 2 or 3 minutes video, because that takes me a week to do that.
Right.
If you want to do it professionally, if I want to
Sure.
do a quick video, I can do it in 3 minutes, and I'm gonna have a couple of viewers. You know what I mean? But when you see a video of the Captain Howdy or True Crime Jesus, it's another level, man. You
It
have
is
to
another
think
level.
what's behind that, the effort, the voices, the images, the edition, the pace. Is like it's like if you go to see a movie in the theater, man. It's awesome. I really respect that a lot. And if you are I
Yeah,
know
me
you're a
too.
follower of the Captain Howdy.
Yeah.
He 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 put a video today, and the next video is gonna be in 1 month or 2 months later, because
Right.
the time to do a video
Yeah. Right.
in of that quality, that's my thing.
It
So
does, and you
I'm
can tell. You can definitely tell when you watch it. There is a real feeling of well, with those in particular, this over foreboding, almost doom, and it just really translates whatever he's doing. Like that could be on any television channel,
the
for a
Captain
half hour
Howdy,
show. It
man. The
really could.
Captain Howdy is better than any crappy Netflix
You know
show.
who else gives me goosebumps though, and no one gives him a lot of credit. They give him a lot of shit, and I don't know how right he is. He likes to think out of the box, and he, is now I'm oh the eye. The eye makes goosebumps raise up
Ooh.
on my arm when I watch some of that stuff, man. It blows me away. And I don't know if he's on or off or what, but just the way he does it and then he presents it, and he
It's
always seems
artistic.
to
It's
find
artistic.
the
He's an
music.
artist.
You ever notice his music? Somehow it's like, oh, it's crazy how good it is. He has
Yeah.
so much talent. He's so
From
talented.
from second one to the end, you are just, what the
You
fuck is
are.
going on? Even if you, regardless if you agree or disagree with the guy,
Right.
but
And
it's
that's
an
the difference. But
it's
he's
an
not sitting
artistic
there yelling in
presentation.
your face to, believe this way. He's not even doing that live thing either. It's all a half hour, 20 minutes or something like that, where it's a pre-recorded deal that he puts up. Whereas somebody like, well, Joe or whatever his name is from Australia, it's this sort of live thing where he's berating and with these crazy ideas. To me, that's different than just sort of making a creative video like that, because you're not beating that point home, but
No,
you
he's
know,
awesome. He's awesome. I think
he's pretty awesome. Yeah.
he has to work on TV or on in the movies. It's too much.
I mean,
He's so
personally, I
good,
think
man.
he works for like the NSA, or I think he works for like a secret, like governmental agency,
I think
in
so,
my
man.
opinion.
He
Yeah.
or he's a super nerd with super skills.
Oh, he's
He's
definitely
he's just
that either
he's
way.
just so
Yeah.
good.
Or
And
he's a
and
serial
and,
killer.
and once I told him, "Hey, man, I really disagree with your ideas, but your videos are just awesome. He replied to me, no worries, Criptex, it's fine.
Yeah.
And that's the idea,
No,
man.
he's used to, especially with Delphi, he's definitely used to people buffing back at him, because he does but again, I don't see it that way. I don't feel like he's trying to hurt the family or do anything like that. I just see him thinking outside the box and then going beyond that and not just spewing it out there on a live show, but really turning it into a production. And that
And
is really cool.
and I love people with great taste of music. The musical taste of this guy is awesome.
Well, that's me. I have the best taste.
You just can't close your eyes and listen to the music. Is just freaking awesome. Now the guy says
It is,
really good,
yeah.
and I agree.
I love it.
And I think you have a very good point here, Farmer. And I'm gonna extrapolate your idea. When you were talking about Joe Louis is the name,
Joe Louis, yeah, that's his name, yeah.
and we know that there is a true crime design and the spectrum that we think they are messing
The
with the
carnival
families,
barker. I call them
whatever.
the carnival barkers because they're just barking out shit,
Exactly,
But go ahead.
but and I think we're gonna have a little bit of a pushback here, but I have to tell
That's
that
okay.
those guys, at least, their true colors. They are putting out there what they really think and they
That's a good
feel.
point.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So
Like it or not, they're doing it.
like
Yeah.
it or not, exactly.
Right.
And I don't like it, but at least I know
You
who
know
are
where they
those
stand. Right.
exactly. But in the
A
other
lot of
side,
people, I mean, we're not political here very much, but I mean, a lot of people would almost make that same distinction with, our political spectrum over here, where you have somebody like me who's an obvious liberal, and then you have even someone on the right where it's like you can see that at least what I find with my own people is that we're just not, we want to stand up for everything instead of standing for a few good things, and really bringing it home. Where people like that will pick a few issues and bam, they're on it. They are, they're very on message,
yeah.
and and you're
What I
right.
want
They're not just saying what everybody else is saying. They're going out on their own.
what I wanted to say is it's good to know your enemies, and I'm not saying they are my enemies at all. I,
Sure,
I think you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
At least you know what's going on there, and I think they are honest in
Right,
their thinking, their opinions, whatever. But sadly, I cannot say the same thing in this side, because
right.
there
That's
are
what I'm
some
saying.
creators that are very friendly with the families. They are very friendly with the, you know what I mean, and they have their agendas and they're working behind the scenes and they're messing with the case and they have great egos and they want to think they are the smartest guy in the room. And I want to talk to Nick and I want to talk to George Gold, and they are proud of that. And this is not the way, man. We are not here to. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Is sometimes it's better to know your enemies than to
Oh yeah.
have someone that I don't know, man. If I'm being clear here, but
No,
anyway,
I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, because even enemies can respect each other to a degree if everyone's being honest, right? So even in war, you would even have military generals who could respect each other. They would kill each other on the battlefield, but I mean, uh, it is better to know where someone stands than to wonder where someone stands.
exactly.
Indecision, indecisiveness, opaqueness, vagary, those are all weak moves. Okay, knowing where you stand now, the position may be a weak position, and that's up for judgment down the road. But the fact that you're willing to say, "Look, I'm staking my ground right here," I think at some points it becomes ridiculous when you're hurting someone else. When your point is so pointed that it's like a spear almost. And it, you know, and I, you know, so as much as, of course, I am for, you know, freedom of speech and your own ideas and freedom of thought, um, people should also be aware that slander, libel, and other things like that, you know, are still a thing, because you can't just make false accusations about somebody. Of course, Criptex, you know that a bit of a passion project for me is applying some kind of standards, at least to myself, in terms of this community. Probably most paralleling the AP standards on reporting. And if you give me a second here, I'd like to put something up and share it with you guys.
Go ahead.
Here we go. So this is the AP social media guidelines, and it's sort of a loose standard. And I sort of wonder, you know, I haven't really read through it too much, but I thought, well, maybe we could kind of look at it just one page together here and see just what are we talking about? And I'll read it out loud for everybody. Why this section? Journalists everywhere have looked to the Associated Press style book, and the style book is basically the yearly edition that gets put out that shows the type of font that's used, what all the standards are, blah, blah, blah. For advice about how to gather and disseminate news, since the guide was first published in 1953, clearly decades before the mass communication of the internet. During that time, methods of news gathering and delivery have changed drastically. Social networks have changed that even more quickly. As daily life plays out all over the world, social networks give us access to the content that hundreds of millions of people choose to share. So where are we going with this? I don't know. Other than I think that there are some parallels here. And I'm going to skip down here a little bit. Social networks have changed. Study after study find that the vast majority of the world's internet users are active on social networks. People are increasing, yada, yada. We know that. This section shows you, oh, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to slow down the process here. Here we go. Anyways, we don't have to go through them, but there is already something out there just in terms of, and I'm liking to see this. It's all new to me, but I just started researching it, and oh man, I lost my picture. Hang on a second. There you are. How do I get this off here now? What do I do? Remove. Sorry, you guys. I'm still kind of learning. Oh, Criptex ditched me. All right. Yeah, I'm still kind of learning the buttons. So that's where I have my hangups at. But I'm really glad to have learned how to do that. And I can put up PDF files now, and I have a bunch of different ones, but we won't go through them. But I was kind of shocked that that there already are some standards out there for social media guidelines from the Associated Press. So I'm going to be studying that stuff. I have the actual study book also. And I'm just going to try to make as many parallels as I can, because no one seems to, I mean, I don't have the professional, you as an editor, Criptex, I mean, even my sister who edits, but I mean, I don't have this professional writing skill, and I wouldn't call myself qualified to make a list of any kind of standards unless you're talking ping pong or pizza delivery, because I'm good at both of those things. But I think I could draw some parallels between the basic rules of the AP standards on social media reporting and our own web sleuth reporting. I think that they would parallel quite nicely. So I'm looking forward to that. It's nothing I think about too much, but I do feel like it's needed still. But moving on, Criptex, you got any questions at all? Do we want to talk anything about Delphi? Do we want to just say anything about Delphi?
Well, we have just here Mother of Dragons, great commenter, great viewer. She says it has always been about justice for the beautiful girls, and I agree with you. But what is justice, and what is full justice, or what is partial justice? Because again, and I don't want to be repetitive, because I said the same speech since Richard Allen was convicted, and I know what people think, and I know what you think, Farmer. But what is full justice? In my opinion, I don't think we can say that there was a full justice, and it is just my opinion, and my opinion is not important in the case, let's say, I'm just trying to think out of
No, but I
the box. I think again, I think Richard Allen was involved. He's
mhm,
guilty, but there are other actors. I
I
think
think yeah, we're
we know very
right there.
well the story since let's say when the guy said guys down the hill, at that point we know the story from there back, you know. But after
Hmm.
that, we don't know what really happened. We don't know.
I
We don't
know.
know. And I think law enforcement, they don't know. I think Richard Allen, they have a partial knowledge of that. But if there are other actors here that are not behind bars, it's not full justice. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Did you see Justice Serb Daly's broadcast last week on Dan Doolin?
No,
She did a show on Dan Doolin. It was good.
I was there, but I was just for a couple of minutes. I was outside, so I didn't have time to pay attention to the show. But I have to watch it. She's great, man. She's the most underrated creator in this community. She's
She's
really
excellent.
bright.
And
She's good.
when you talk about consistency, right? I mean, she's very active on her community page, obviously, because she does a lot of a lot of print bulletins and things like that for missing people, missing kids mostly, but people of all ages. She doesn't discriminate. You know, she'll anybody missing, and it's mostly Indiana. You'd be surprised how much endless material there is from Indiana when it comes to criminal sexual conduct.
Yeah, man.
It seems endless. It seems like all those little towns just run together full of pedos, man. I don't know what's, but that could just be the way it looks. It doesn't mean anything. Um,
Did you watch
yeah, I
the?
don't know. I feel like yeah that there are too many big questions left. I mean, I'm never going to be comfortable with the Dan Doolin thing or the now that Brad Weber wants to change his story a whole hour. I'm just not going to be comfortable with the Betsy Blairs. I don't trust any of it, and it makes sense. Why would you want to rat anyone else out? Because then that ruins your appeal. You've now implicated yourself. So that's very well why he wouldn't tell on anyone else. That's my opinion, but I definitely do believe he was involved. Yeah, I'm not in this camp that thinks he didn't have anything to do with it.
No, that Doolin situation, man, was really fishy. Really, really fishy. Something's not adding up there. I'm not gonna buy the law enforcement story about that. And you know
No,
what's my feeling here or my thinking? I think the arrest of Richard Allen is a consequence of the interrogatory of Keegan Klein at the Grissom Air Force Base. So the Doolin lost tip narrative, I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either. And also, Justice Serb Daly said on her show, just like I was not arguing with Dan the Contrarian or whatever. He kept saying that it was entered into the Orion system, and she's saying no, just like I did. It was not entered into the Orion system until after 2022, when Kathy Schenck put it into the Orion system. It was never entered in there. That's why the FBI said called bullshit that it wasn't a clerical error because they never got the tip at all. That's where the
And
mistake came in. So that to me says it's more on you know on the local side of things now. And now you know and if you look at I mean you don't want to just start throwing things together, especially after the damn trial's already over and everything. But think about it. I mean, his entire work area was right where they were murdered. You know, that is his work zone. And Brad Weber's driveway goes right through the middle of his private driveway goes to the middle of that public land conservancy. You know, it's like that driveway is a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile long. You know,
hey,
and it used
Farmer,
to be a road. Huh?
we have Steve here, man. You should drop the link and invite Farmer to join us. Invite
Steve,
Steve.
oh, Steve is here. Oh my God.
It's gonna be a honor for your chat, man, for your channel if Steve
Oh,
can
well,
be
he
here.
doesn't have to. I don't like to pressure him, but of course I will.
No pressure, just an invitation.
He's always.
Hey, hello,
I
Steve.
actually
How are you?
I emailed him already and told him he could come on if he wanted. So he knows. But there's a link, Steve, if you want to. If you want to, be more than happy to have you on here. But thanks for stopping in too. Let's see. I'm gonna put his comment up though right here.
Yeah, just to say hello and to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Steve.
So Steve says, obviously, we will experience examples of huge failures in proper reporting of facts. We are all experiencing social media as a new technology, and human failure is a constant challenge, and that's true. I think because there can be real victims involved, and it's involving some pretty heady topic subject matter that. I mean, anything we can do, I think, though, on our part as the people on this side of the camera to not, mitigate that as best we can, then isn't being, what we need to be doing. So, I mean, as much as that's true, and it certainly is for me, I don't think that changes certain things, Steve, about how we would just normally talk to each other, even without social media. So, I mean, I would like to apply more of those same golden rule type standards that we've just always sort of lived by, that since social media have sort of gone out the window, and then suddenly it's whatever, catfishing and tricking people and all this bullshit, lying about people and bravado and telephone tough guys, and it's just a bunch of fakery. Not all of it. That's why I find myself buddying up with people like Sleuth Intuition or Criptex or you or Kristen, because I don't want to just be with a bunch of carnival barkers,
I'm very disappointed, Farmer.
What I do? Why aren't you on my screen? Why are you just green?
Because my cell phone died, my battery died. But I'm very disappointed because I don't have a wrench.
You don't have what? Oh, a wrench. How do I do that again? Yeah, I know. I was like, is Steve? I didn't even know Steve was a mod on this channel. Well, Steve's a police officer. He's a mod on every channel. That's part of being a police officer.
Come on, give me a wrench, man.
How do I do it? I forgot.
I don't know. You're the owner of your channel.
Of course, I will give you a wrench. No, I will give you a wrench. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, I know. I want you to have one. I mean, I still want to make. I want to make everyone a mod. It'll be like Thunderdome. We can all just throw each other out and just go crazy.
We have Fishy here, man.
Oh, is she here? Hi. Yeah. How is Don't Hate Create?
She's here. Wow, what a great.
Oh yeah, I was in her show the other night. Not in her show, but I was in the chat anyways. That was a pretty good show actually. I didn't know who the other guy was. I mean, I know Dan, but.
Criptex.
I didn't know the other guy, but I thought he was pretty well spoken.
The other guy was Criptex, man.
No.
Yes.
No, there was some guy. He was yelling at everyone, and he was like real. I can't. She knows. Teddy. Yeah, Teddy. A lot of people didn't like him. I thought he was pretty good actually on the air. I mean, for the content that he was bringing, he was pretty on. He had some good shots in there, I thought. Yeah,
man.
But that was pretty fun, and you're welcome also to Don't Hate if you want to hit that link up that I just dropped. If you want to, of course, anytime.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome. You guys want to come on?
Did you watch the press conference Doug Carter made after the sentence of Rich Allen?
No, I didn't.
I didn't like.
I didn't. I really didn't. I didn't even watch. I didn't watch any. No, I didn't. Should I watch that?
I think so. He was trying to clean law enforcement hands, like saying that like trying to get some kind of redemption, and it was too forced, man. Like, come on, you did a lot of mistakes during the whole investigations. And today, just because you have Richard Allen behind bars, you go out to try to make yourself you're great, and law enforcement, they are great. It was I really didn't like that. I think
Right.
they need to have some type of accountability. You know what I mean? To be a little bit more of humble, let's say. You know,
Right.
okay, today is a great day. We have this guy behind bars. Sadly, this guy went to talk to us after one day uh, of the murders, and we spent 6 or 7 years to solve this case, which let's say is solved, but I think there are other people uh, involved here. But to me, it was not the way to go out to try to make yourself. I'm the good guy here. You know what I mean? You did a lot of mistakes. Have
Yeah.
a little bit of accountability here. I really didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for Doug Carter he said he couldn't wait to tell us everything he knew. I'm still waiting for him to tell us everything he knew because I haven't heard anything. So he can stop patting his own ass on the back right now.
I was really disappointed, man.
Well, I mean, Doug Carter is the media arm of the Indiana State Police, if you will. I mean, I'm sure he has plenty of actual on the ground experience, also, but it's sort of his job to put that spin on it, I suppose. But also being in that role, I mean, you would have to be pretty damn tone deaf to not understand that. I would think you'd be pretty tone deaf to not think that mistakes were made and not come out bragging too much. Steve, can you hear me okay, Steve?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. Steve, thank you for being on the show tonight. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was a guest of yours a year or two ago, and
We never made it on the show though. Remember, that's when I screwed everything up. That's why I moved on from episode 3. That's forever locked in the auspices of my memory, and Criptex is number 4.
Excellent.
It's so good to have you here, Steve. Thank you for showing up.
It's an honor to be here. I appreciate everyone that has this new technologies, and it is new technologies to me. I'm old country boy out of Georgia and never experienced anything when I first started my career, ever thinking that we would have the ability to communicate with anyone and everyone that within seconds across the country.
Right. We were talking about you at the beginning of the video, Steve. We were talking about you, about the things you do with your foundation, helping people, Evansdale, Barbara Hall. We love what you do, man. For
That's
real.
very kind of y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, but even to the bigger point,
sorry, Farmer.
Good at it,
Farmer. Can you take off the banner because you are?
Oh yeah, definitely, hell yeah. I am figuring out this technical stuff finally, Mr. Steve. You can see that I'm finally. Oh, whoops! Give me a second. Oh, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Never mind. How do I take that off there again?
Go to the comment of Steve and click on the comment.
Gotcha. Thank you. There we go. And I just got to switch up. I'm just going to put up something smaller. Oh, how do I just? What do I just hit? How do I make it all go away? How do I make it all go away? Oh, hide current comment. Oh, nice. Bam.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right, there you are. There's Mr. Steve. Now we can see him. All right. I don't know, Mr. Steve. I mean, I know the Delphi is over with, but how much juice, do you think that this whole community now not suffers, but that we got to step up our game? You can't just be a one case community, and a lot of people try a lot of different things, but nothing seems to garner the sort of same attention as the mysterious Delphi case. I mean, it was such an enigmatic, mysterious case with so many odd things. And I think that video really is what made it so incredibly enigmatic. But go ahead. I mean, do you think the whole thing fades now, web sleuthing into obscurity, or do you think it's something that's really going to be around?
Oh, it's going to be around. Once law enforcement embraces it and uses it as a tool to better inform the public, it's going to, and some law enforcement agents are already embracing it and using it as a tool. And it will be absolutely unbelievable. We're the first generation of seeing this. Of course, our kids, what they will be able to experience in the future is nothing compared to what,
Yeah,
the advances that will come.
sure. And I mean, I know it's probably been a rough transition to even get law enforcement to even try to listen to web sleuths at all. And they shouldn't. They got their own thing to do, and they have their own they have their own skill set that they need to employ first and foremost. But when we look at somebody that has the experience that say you have, or any ex law enforcement, do you find that might be the answer to getting it to be to bridge a little bit more effectively by people like you communicating with law enforcement that this can be an effective, or do you think it's just as simple as maybe them watching and maybe even participating on their own and having some fun with it, if you will?
I'm telling you, I face challenges. That's probably one of the biggest challenges I face. Whereas if I didn't have a YouTube channel, law enforcement would probably give me more respect. They don't understand that I have two phases. I have my content creation, which has nothing to do with the cases I work. And then I have my skunk works, which is behind the foundation that is totally secretive. I create no content on those cases I work. Of course, there are, other creators that, everyone gets to choose how they wish to step forward and work these cases and things. But I have faced some uphill battles of when people see that, true crime web, which has that, as sometimes it is viewed as clickbait. And that you have the web sleuths that everything they create in their titles is clickbait. And so I face that challenge too. But luckily, after speaking with them one-on-one, I'm able to overcome those worries. I can't imagine what it would be for the typical creator that doesn't have my background or my credentials.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it's like. I mean, and I understand that. At the end of the day, we could do more harm than good if we're not careful, in my opinion, about what we're doing, especially when you're talking about feet on the ground, like looking for evidence type stuff, because that's really a technical, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, don't you think there needs to be some standards brought in there instead of just going out? Or do you think just after all that time and something's cold, just finding it at all is a good thing and a good way to get it started?
I hate where law enforcement takes certain information to the grave. That after a certain period of time, the cases are cold. Fortunately, we have DNA that is bringing life back to some of these 30-year-old cases that without that technology, they would just pass into never land, never to be seen again. And the families would always be a victim of not knowing. And so we have that technology that is bringing awareness back into it. But the web sleuths and you guys that unfortunately I don't have the time to go in and look at some of these older cases and bring awareness to it. But if you truly understood the impact that each of you, no matter what your size is, as far as your community, the impact that you have on these families is huge, guys. They appreciate anyone paying attention and getting the word out there. I've seen it with a lot of my cases. Some cases I can talk about, some I can't. But some of those families, they just want it out there that there's hope that one person, because there's people out there that have the key clues. Right. And it's just a matter of time for those people to step up and whose show is it they're going to see and then call 911.
Yeah, and I can't imagine You know, I have never had a close family member murdered. I've had it where it's come close to that. Other violent things have happened, but not that, finality of it. And I mean, to have to sit back after some years, and feel not only that the killer wasn't caught, but that no one even remembers. When that person meant more to you than you would have traded places with that person. You know what I mean? In a second, if you could make them come back. Um, it's just awfully sad that there's the volume of it is so high, and that it used to be it used to be a rare thing, but it doesn't just seem so damn rare anymore, Steve. It seems like it just feels like sometimes, and I'm sure that maybe the internet adds to this, that we're just surrounded by predators, and I know it's not like that. There are plenty of good people out there, but do you think that that could be like a bad side of like all this social media, because it becomes overwhelming too at some point?
I think we all should be in constant awareness of situational awareness. Our forefathers who crossed the plains and the pioneers, they had to be always aware of situational awareness, and we should too. And we can never tell our children enough to be aware, or our families always be aware, because unfortunately
Right.
there's far more predators out there than I spent a career fighting them and experiencing that and responding to families that just due to a lapse of awareness or being targeted, because you can be as aware as you want to, but when some of these predators target you, they're coming for you.
Right.
Farmer,
Yeah, it's not always a matter of chance. That's the crazy thing, is that there might be some person or people with a whole agenda for your life or lack
farmer,
thereof. Go ahead,
farmer.
Criptex. Please go ahead for a minute.
Let me interrupt you. Sorry for that.
Please do. Yeah.
I don't know if you are the problem or I'm the problem, but there's an echo here, and especially
Is
when
there
you
an echo? No?
talk. But anyways, uh, Steve, one question for you. A couple of days ago, I was talking to Ruckus. He told me that he was at Evansdale working on the investigation, And I asked Ruckus, what's your feeling? What do you feel about the case? It's going to be solved. And he told me, I'm very confident that the case is going to be solved on 2025. What are your feelings, Steve? What do you think about that?
Well, I can't talk about Evansdale. I don't know. Now, there is a, I don't know what all he shared. I watched some of that interview. I don't know what all he shared with you behind the scenes and everything. But the information that he provided to me after that trip, I don't have all the details yet. He's supposed to be sending it to me. I just haven't received it, and I don't know what he's basing all those statements on.
Yeah, no, I was talking to him about Delphi in my channel, and I was just asking him, what are you doing? What's going on right now? And he told me that he was in Evansdale working on the case.
Yes,
He was
yes,
talking to
yeah,
Drew.
I'm fully aware of that. The
Yeah,
foundation, of course, was behind that trip, but like I said, I haven't gotten his report from that trip at this time.
but regardless of that, what's your feeling? Is something that is we think is gonna be solved soon, or we don't know? What's your feeling about that?
Well, of course, we generate leads, and we've turned over information for the last 2 years. Uh, is some of that information going to result in solving it in 2025? Who knows? I don't know. Um, I, I don't have the uh, law enforcement. It's a one-way street.
Okay.
The leads that we have generated on that case have been turned over to law enforcement.
Okay.
Now, does
Steve,
that mean that those leads will result in the arrest or solving of the case? Have no idea. We don't know where they will go. We don't have the resources or the abilities to call in certain investigative and tracking and the digital footprints that law enforcement has. But when we find an individual for whatever, how we generate that lead and turn it over, we don't know what the end result are. Do I think I have generated some pretty good leads? Absolutely. We just don't know. Don't have the ability to say that it's going to be 2025.
I understand. Steve, I know you are working actively in that case, Evansdale, and other cases. What are the other cases you are working on right now? I know you're working in the Barbara's Hall case, Timmy
Yeah.
D's.
Yeah, we went to the prosecutor on Barbara Hall's Timmy D's case. Went to the prosecutor on Durante Martin case, which is in Missouri also. And I'm looking at the Doug Till case that's up there. That's also within that same community. Those are the three cases I have in that area, but I have some other cases that I'm working on all the way out to the West Coast that until a certain point is reached, we can't go into the names of those cases until because there's certain things that we do behind the scenes, just like with Barbara Hall and with Durante Martin. We worked some of those cases for months, and no one knew the work that was being done on them. And just like while people know that I have connections with the Evansdale case, they don't know the work that I'm doing. Occasionally I mention I'm going up there, but they don't know what behind the scenes work is being done.
And one question for you. Sorry, Farmer, to interrupt you.
Not at all. No. Please, Criptex. Please, no. You got full reign.
I'm just get excited when Steve is here. I just love you.
I know. Me too. I'm like a little kid.
Steve, some people or some creators, they say we should stop talking about Delphi because Richard Allen is already convicted. He's already behind bars. What's your feeling about that? And what's your what are you gonna do in your channel in the future? Are you still gonna talk about Delphi, or is something that is already done for you? What can you tell us about that?
I did a lot of work as far as when I look at these cases, I tried to bring in the avenue of what law enforcement will do, the process and the scene. And so, Delphi was one of the first cases I looked at. And so I did a lot of presenting of how certain things would be looked at, such as the cell phone data, the crime scene processing, outdoor scenes, luminol, clothing. But all that's done for me right now. So, and I'll be able to use all the testing I did on that case in other cases as we move forward whenever I create content on a case I'm not working. I think that we should always have it present and bring it up to, and I appreciate the channels that still look into it if they have the message of make sure your kids understand the dangers of the internet and catfishing, the dangers of placing where you will be on certain days and certain times on some of these remote areas, because those are all dangers that these predators from catfishing and even dating sites as an adult, you can put yourself in a position that will absolutely get you where you can be taken advantage of. And from those standpoints, for those people that want to look at it and present it in that manner, I'm fully supportive. If you're out there to cause families and just generate funds off of creating drama or creating
I'll say it for you. You're a real asshole. That's what Mr. C wants to say, but he's too polite to say it.
But there are certain people that use it as clickbait just to generate funds. They have no interest in it other than the ads and clickbait.
Yeah, I think with any genre of entertainment, you're going to run into people that are opportunists, are charlatans. It really doesn't matter. I think it's up to us as listeners, as co-creators, if you will, to sort of pick those out. And it doesn't mean we got to be dramatic about fighting with people, but I'm just not going to subscribe to them. I'm not going to take any part in their process. They could talk to the wall for all I care. I'm just not going to waste my time with people like that. So,
Well, there's also, and I don't have a problem with people questioning, is
there's
to
a way
ensure
to
that
do
our
it.
judicial systems is and the law enforcement and the court systems are focused. Was I happy that Delphi, that the court system wasn't televised? Absolutely. It broke my heart that we should all have experienced that. We shouldn't have to rely upon reporters only. I think the courts should be totally transparent in all the proceedings, and of course that didn't occur in that case. And I think we all lost
Yeah.
a part of what we should have.
And I would say especially now because the people aren't even in the mode of being a courtroom reporter anymore. You know what I like? There used to be teams dedicated to that. I mean, if you even saw the artwork out of Delphi, it looked like a bad Peanut skit. People just don't have those skills to translate the information verbatim from the courtroom to the public and let it be concise and truthful. They don't have it, and there's not a medium for people to even read shit like that on, because newspapers are a thing of the past. For the most part, it's all online, and things are so split and fragmented. It's like when you have a million channels to choose from. You know what I'm saying, Steve? It's like, it's hard to get a lot of people into one area for to get the right information out. So
There's a lot of people out there who have huge platforms. How did they develop those huge platforms? Um, and some of them, like I said, everybody has an agenda. It's just that do they want to use that agenda for the good, or do they want
right.
to use that agenda for personal gain?
And I find with this particular field of, I don't want to call it entertainment because the subject matter is just a little bit too heavy to call what we do. I'm not really a web sleuth channel. I do that mostly, but I also consider myself a variety show. I like to talk about history and metal detecting, blah blah blah. But I think that for this particular set of people that have access to the airwaves, I think different rules, they don't have to apply because in America the Constitution's the bottom line. But at the same time, I think the responsibilities run a little bit deeper when you're dealing with somebody who's gone through tragedy, and versus somebody that's showing you how to play a video game on YouTube. So there's a lot of different sorts of creators. I find it very interesting, and I find personally, and I said earlier, I don't know if you were listening, I thought that maybe for you, not that I would know your life, but it seemed to me that the hardest thing for you to do during this whole process was like me, like the technical side of like just running the damn machine and producing a show. Like you knew the police work, you know what I mean? You knew that stuff. You knew how to communicate. I got the sense that you probably stood up in front of a few officers from time to time and gave a couple speeches. Would I be right?
Well, I was a field training officer, of course, and
So
I
yeah.
had that whole generation. I was our first. I was over our training program for our department for many years, and I hope I had an impact on those young officers.
Oh
I
man, I'm
know they
sure you did.
always used to joke about um, what did you think of Mr. Steve's training program, but anyway, yeah, I hope I had an impact, and I think I did. I don't know.
I'm sure
Only
of it.
time would tell.
Well, I
And
mean, you've sure had an impact on this entire community. Whether you know it or not, and I'm sure you have some awareness of it. As far as I'm concerned, you do sort of set the standard. Not maybe not just singularly, but I mean, you're very consistent, and it's just so appreciated. And not for me, but I think from victims families and friends, that there is somebody that's not just some carnival barker talking about their tragedy, that you really bring a skill set to it. And I think that's so important. And I wish a lot more law enforcement officers or ex-law enforcement officers who are looking for something to do after retirement because they're bored would sort of get on board with that and create their own shows, you know?
Well, when I first got into it, I never imagined I'd be in the position I am today.
Right.
I went
Oh, you
into
mean
it
with
just
more
to
subs
become an
than any of the
ambassador
people
for
that
law
you
enforcement.
originally started with?
I just wanted to be an ambassador for law enforcement to try
Right.
to assist people in evaluating of how to proceed down this web sleuth path, and give my 2 cents on how law enforcement looks at things. But then when families started reaching out to me, I started using my YouTube channel as a way of becoming these families of being able to connect with me. And what is the future for my channel? Will I be, I mean, that's one thing that my content has probably suffered greatly as far as being able to create content, but my impact as on society and these families is outweighs any of the losses I could
Sure.
experience as far as a content creator.
I would think that sort of might have even mirrored your professional life before you retired, that you're going to have this sort of huge impact individually, but that, you know, as a police officer overall, you're going to sort of have also then this sort of populist feeling about you, also the sort of general feeling in your community about, you know, because it varies from community to community about how much people sort of love the cops, you know, if you will. I know that's true in Kalamazoo. You know, you might have a community over here that is ready to have a riot with the cops, and then you got a community over here that's ready to lay down their own lives to defend them. You know what I mean? So it really can be it can feel to people that sometimes are marginalized as if the police are against them, you know. But I would contend that a lot of that just has to do simply with their, you know, being a victim of circumstance and not having upward mobility to get out of just the neighborhoods and stuff that they're in, you know. And that's just that a lot of that is not circumstance, but just what's going on around you. You know, it's hard to get out of the mess you're in. Did you find yourself like over the years, and I won't keep it too long. I think you said you were doing a late night show yourself, and I don't want to.
Well, at 12:05, I can stay until 12:04.
All right, man. I don't know what happened to Crip. I guess his phone died, but as soon as it's back on, Crip.
My cell phone died, but I have a question
I didn't know you
for
were.
Steve. I have a question for Steve.
Please go ahead, man. I'm really just stealing it here.
Steve, that picture you showed us the other time, the SWAT picture, man, you were like Rambo, John Rambo, man. That was freaking awesome, man. I love that picture. That photo is the best.
That was a
I
good
was
picture.
very young then.
You look like a total badass. I mean, really, you look like you could take somebody down, you know?
Yeah, I'm some of the things that you experience in your law enforcement career, I worked with some of the greatest, I mean, defenders of the Constitution, some really good guys. But I also worked with guys who were absolutely trash. They threw their careers away. I saw them, some of them brought on federal charges. So I got to experience all that and see it from both sides of it. So I understand when the population says that there's corruption. There is corruption out there. But as far as my SWAT years and what I did during those years, I probably should have been killed easily 6 or 8 times. It was a coin flip. And I was very fortunate to survive many of my SWAT adventures. Even the training for it was pretty difficult at times.
Yeah, you know, and it makes you wonder too. Like, well, it makes me wonder. Like, you know, you're probably talking about some years back. I mean, you know, like in the military in the old days, you would have to, in basic training, from what I understand, you'd have to like crawl under live bullets, you know, and stuff like that. Do you think a lot of that stuff changes, or or are they still pretty tough on those kind of recruits when they come into a system like that? I mean, are they still toughening them up good, or are they kind of slacking and saying, look, we don't want to hurt your feelings, you know?
Some of the liability issues that we did back in the day, as far as when I was a sniper and things, and we had people stacking on the walls, and our recon sniper, Marine recon sniper, who was over our sniper team, he wasn't fearful of live training fire. He'd go down range because you're talking about that with the sniper training, that we have to plan a justifiable homicide. And we can't allow human targets downrange to distract us. And so he put us in some pretty, that wouldn't be acceptable, OSHA acceptable training, but we did it.
Yeah.
And so he would put himself, because he had confidence in us. You know, if y'all saw some of the targets that we shot, and how precise that some of these teams are, you ain't got to worry about that. You know, you're putting bullets on bullets 100 yards easily.
Right.
My partner, we was on a hostage situation with a bank robber at 77 feet, and when he knocked when my partner knocked the hostage taker off of the hostage with a 308, and you know, so if you're able to put bullets and dimes at 100, you most certainly can put bullets where you need them at 77 feet.
And what's a standard rifle for something like, if you don't mind, it would be like a 308 or something like that, or?
I carry two. I carried a 308 and a 223. We had certain rounds that were designed for those situations, whereas a 308 in certain hostage situation, you had to worry about collateral damage downrange. With a 223, you put something in the cranial vault, it wouldn't leave it. I could shoot a baseball and it wouldn't go through a baseball with the rounds that we used. And that way, if we had a situation that we were fearful of collateral damage, such as someone surrounding themselves with potential victims and hostages, that we could, as long as I could see his eye, we could end that.
So would you then make a choice, say, if there's the chance where that bullet could exit the perpetrator and then hit an innocent person, would you slow down the velocity by going subsonic or lowering the grain?
No. Those rounds were just designed. They were designed a certain, there were certain type of ammo that once they entered the cranial vault from a 223, it wouldn't exit cranial vault. It'd stay in the skull.
Okay.
Yeah, I have traveling 20. Let's see, that was probably traveling somewhere around probably 3,000, 3,100 feet per second on that 223.
Man, that's moving, right? I mean, that's almost a mile.
Oh, yeah. We used to laugh about it when we were shooting targets at 300 yards in sniper school. When my 223 went off, you could sit there and everybody else had the 308s, but you would watch my target fall a second before theirs, everyone else's at 300 yards would fall.
Wow. That's interesting. See, I didn't know. These are the little things that you just don't know until you talk to, or unless you're inexperienced with a lot of guns. And I'm not. I mean, I have general knowledge. I mean, I have a 223 myself, but it's not one of these. I don't really personally believe in assault weapons. So I believe that we have the right to own guns, of course, as Americans. That's in the Constitution. But I just think there should be a mechanism in between each shot, either a bolt, a lever, you name it. Put a mechanism in between each shot, and that way a bunch of people can't be taken out at once. That's just how I feel about it. But you know what? Times are getting pretty crazy. So I've been thinking about picking me up a nice little semi-auto. Criptex, you're from Canada. You're not allowed to even talk about guns, I don't think.
I feel bad by using my nail cutter, man.
You're what?
I don't want to know anything about guns. Man, everything that is happening right now in United States, the girl that was born in the subway, that was horrible. And I think today that there was another guy that was born in another subway.
There was.
Things like that we don't see stuff like that here in Canada, man. I really feel safe here. The other time you asked me,
I'm
farmers,
sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but
why don't you come to US? The answer is simple, man. I feel safe here.
well, it's
I
too much
didn't feel
like home for
I
you,
didn't feel safe in Colombia. I
right?
think I'm not gonna feel safe in US. I feel safe here. So I don't know. What's your feeling, Steve, about that situation in the subway? The girl that was born, that was really intense, and of course there's the whole immigration speech right now because the guy that born the girl was someone from South America or Central America. I don't know. It's gonna be a political stuff as well. What are your feelings about that, or your thinking?
About, uh, I didn't fully understand what your question is about. Are you just talking about immigration in general? And
No, you know
No, I
the
think he's talking about immigrants that turn out to be, like so some of the illegal immigrants, then they kill somebody. I mean, that makes the whole community look bad, and it's a lot of pressure then for the other immigrants.
well, there's a, and that's something that that's probably missed by much, is that a lot of those that come across the borders, that uh, they target people within their own community. Now you'll have where they do target outside their communities, and those are the ones that make um, the headlines. But
Right.
the crime that they commit within their own communities is probably far greater and far more impactful on the immigrants who just came across the border just to make a living or trying to improve their families' lives, regardless if they do it legally or illegally. Of
That is
course,
such an excellent point too. That really
but
is.
and I wish that they would, of course, the ones that choose to come legally, um, you know, and go that path, absolutely, we should embrace. Some of the ones, and how do you determine which ones are good and which ones are bad? What's the fix for it? That's for far brighter people than I, because,
Right.
like I said, um, how can you
Well, I
absolutely?
think you got to have a system in place, right? You got to have rules, you got to have a system. However, there are things outside of the system for emergencies, such as political asylum or things like that, where you don't have to have a visa or a passport. If you're coming here because a governmental agency is trying to murder you in your home country, then you can take asylum here. That is a legal right, under the Constitution. So I think what the problem is for people though is this idea that people are just sort of marching across the border and well they're helping these people, and it just becomes this whole deal that I don't like talking about. It's too
I
political.
understand, but if my family was being persecuted, and I had no choice but jump a border, and Canada was my only out, I'm going. I don't care what authority tells me I can't go. I'm going.
You're right, Steve. And that's a damn good point. People are going to always try to save their doggone family first. And there's always going to be bad actors amongst any group of people, whether it be law enforcement or criminals. There's even criminals who are worse people than other criminals. I mean, I think we get the levels. There are levels. Um, so I think that, I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you what, I think that just as a blanket statement, just like a dog, America's healthier being a mutt. We're healthier being a fabric of different things. I think the diversity of this country and stuff is a healthier way to be, in my opinion. Now, people would argue that that's not true, but I just would disagree with them. That's all. I think it's to our benefit. I think that we have a lot to fight for, and I think that if we ever need to, that we'll coalesce on the same side. I really do believe that.
Oh, I've seen it in my career that in the worst of times, uh, being in Georgia, it's not like we experience apocalypse all the time or any time, but we've had
Right.
times whereas when I believe it was in '93, if I'm not mistaken, when we had the snow apocalypse in Atlanta, and absolutely unimaginable snowfall. Just locked our community down for a week. No power. no,
I can
no
imagine.
way for the roads are closed, power's down. No
and
way
you
for
don't have the
people to-
equipment there to clear the roads for something
No.
like that. I mean, up here in Michigan, you get a storm. I mean, they're smoking and having fun. That's what they do, you know. But yeah, go ahead.
But I saw our community, our society, people, regardless of their wealth or income, that opened their doors and homes, whereas people could gather and take care
Yeah.
of their kids, share food. Ones that had either some type of generators or supplemental heat that just opened their doors to their neighbors, and for fireplaces and things.
Yep.
And so I got to experience and see that when times really get bad, society will still pull together to help each other.
That's true. That brings me around, and I'll make this kind of our final point. Criptex, I'll let you, if you have any other questions if Mr. Steve doesn't mind, but I'll just quickly say, and I'm curious about this, Mr. Steve. Now, you worked on, as a, what would you call it, a beat officer or something, where you drive around at night, and just do regular policing and stuff like that.
I had several stints in different times in my life as starting out in the jail. Going on the road, working myself up to investigation, becoming working investigation. But you can get burned out, and you refocus and rededicate and go and have different stints. But
well,
yes,
I have a favorite. I have sort of a favorite subject that I kind of get sidetracked on here and there, and I'm curious in your experience. Were you ever called and said, "Hey, we got a 911 call coming in, and there's a strange craft in the sky or odd lights in the sky. We need you to go check it out." Were you ever on an official call to check out a UFO?
No, I can't say I ever answered. I had a lot of
There's a lot of officers
calls,
were over the years.
noises and sounds, but never of that. Now, did I ever experience the things that I couldn't identify? Yes.
But
Even
Steve,
as a small child, I think one of the biggest things we ever saw when I was a kid, there was this huge blimp size, and my father was in law enforcement, and he went in and said it was when they called it in and looked at it, it was a blimp that lost control. Is that so? I don't know. I just know that we couldn't identify it, and it was revolving, and it was as big as a blimp.
but Steve,
Now, when you say it was revolving, what do you mean?
Pardon.
Come on.
Steve, I have a video where you are fighting aliens with Ruckus, man.
Yes, I saw that.
Ooh.
I gave you a thumbs up on that.
Oh yeah. It's good.
Yeah,
It's
I
good.
thought.
Yeah, I
it was
like
funny
that.
and
That's what I
hilarious.
love about Criptex, man.
Yeah,
Good stuff. I just wonder. I mean, it's so, and it is actually very topical right now. And have you heard anything also? I mean, and I know you're not a police officer anymore, but you still know them. There's supposedly a handbook that has been delivered to a lot of emergency departments on how to handle a crashed UAP.
I wouldn't have. There's always been handbooks of how to handle hazardous materials, and I think it probably follow along those same guidelines that you probably.
Well, the
be
Department of
exposed.
Energy, actually runs it because if it gives off any kind of radiation in terms of gamma rays, anything, it's automatically goes to the Department of Energy.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that you would be, just like when Columbus landed on the and all the other people came across the ocean blue in 1492, that they exposed the inhabitants of the Americas to diseases they'd never seen, and so I expect that would probably be true if we ever saw that and it ever occurred. So I wouldn't expect you would be handled kindly if you're the first ones on the scene.
It's just to me, it's interesting because there are these accounts from very respected, qualified law enforcement officers and military folks and this kind of thing, where they're even willing to testify in front of Congress, and it seems like such a difficult position for a pilot or a law enforcement officer to be in, to witness something like that, and then basically be ridiculed out of existence. it just seems unfortunate. But if you haven't experienced it, it probably just seems like something that never happens. But trust me, Mr. Steve, it does happen quite more frequently than you would think. To where these things do happen.
Yeah, like I said,
and it's certainly topical right now. I don't know if you're watching the news on this drone thing, what's going on with it, but it's very odd.
Yeah, like I said, I believe that a lot of that is going to be some part of our government.
I think so. Yeah,
and either through
Yeah, no, you're right.
investigations or otherwise. And even if it's not, if it is another technology that's far greater than us,
Yeah.
then of course, if they can travel light years, there's nothing we can really do.
Nothing to be done about it. It just is what it is. I'm not digging a dugout shelter and buying extra ammo yet, but for me, it's always been a big fascination. I guess you've probably been actually living in reality for the last several years. So unless you actually go through that experience, which it wasn't that big of a deal to me until I was faced with that experience. What I have to then, sort of face down, I can either say, well, that was just a trick of my eyesight, but yet I recorded it here on the phone, and crime scene special investigative reconstruction artist Scott Roeder verified it. So these things are real, but what they are is what that's where the speculation comes in.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think we'll see where it goes, but there are some major things going on over this whole country right now, and there's a I don't know what it means, but something's going on. Maybe they're just testing.
Been skunk works that's been, and advancements in technologies that by the time we see it, it's been part of the military for years and years, and some of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jimmy Carter signed the paperwork on the stealth plane program, if you can believe it or not. It was the late 70s when that started marinating, and if you look at the SR, the Blackbird SR-71, that plane was generations ahead of its time. And typically, I'm sure you already know this, but I'll tell the audience, as far as our fighter jets go, by the time it comes out, it's already been 30 years being developed, basically. When they say fifth generation, sixth generation, they literally mean a leap in technology each time. And they're getting pretty incredible. And the new Chinese one, they claim, can go right out into outer space. Now, they're always talking crazy, but
well, by the time we see the generation they promote, we're not. If they're letting fifth or sixth generation out, I just speculating they're probably already working on 9th and 10th.
I agree. So it's always going to be way ahead of us. They're always going to use the money, and we don't get to tell them how to use the money. That's not how taxes work, So they're just going to use it for what they want. I do have one more quick personal question for you. Are you worried that whoever buys your old place is going to think you got like a dump site back there with all them experiments you did? You don't think you're actually dumping bodies back there? I was wondering.
I've had some encounters with some of them already of my new neighbors as we sold off different sections.
If they didn't know you, they'd think it was awful odd seeing you drag that big dummy around.
Well, I had some neighbors pull up and that bought my in-laws' house down the street from us, and I had one of my mannequins laying in the road doing some work. And they ran off the driveway looking at my mannequin in the driveway.
Oh God!
Because I had it at the property line, and so and now my new neighbors down here in Florida, they've experienced some of my headless mannequins.
Yeah, see, that would really freak me out, Mr. Steve, man. If I wake up in the morning and you see something like that laying in a yard somewhere, I imagine you just get a chuckle out of it though, because I know you got a wicked sense of humor. But hey, I think I'm gonna call it good. You're preparing for a show. Criptex, you got anything else you want to finish up with, brother? Thanks for coming on tonight, both of you.
Yeah, I want to say something face to face to Steve. Happy New Year. We love you, and I hope I wish you the best, man, for the next year. And stay in touch. Thank you so much, Steve, for everything you do.
Thank you for, like I said, I appreciate everybody, and don't ever hesitate to call upon me for anything. I'll try to do my best. I'll always be honest and straightforward with you.
You always have been, and I'll tell you what, you don't even make me wait. You were always so just like I always felt like you're a real person, and I think that's so important. And I'm sure that only served as a benefit to you in your previous position professionally. That Criptex and I were talking about it. That as much as a nice guy you are, I said, but I wouldn't want to be the bad guy because I don't feel like. But I'm saying, you can be both too. I bet you could be a real son of a gun if you had to be.
I
But you're so considerate, it seems to me, of just of everyone in general, and your outlook and the way you approach things is absolutely a guiding light for this community. And I thank you, Mr. Steve.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. But
absolutely.
Anyway, I appreciate you having me tonight, and wish you all the best for all of that. Stay true to yourself, and try to have an impact on society, and that's all I can hope for myself, and I hope others also do the same.
Okay, and I hope that I can call on you in the future if I do get going with this Web Sleuth handbook for standards. So we got some standards. Maybe give me your opinion on a couple of them.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, guys,
all right,
y'all have a great night.
I'll see you for your show and in the chat. And you take care, and thank you, Criptex. You have a good night. Is there anything else for you, man? I'm gonna cut us if that's it.
Thank you so much to you guys. Thank you so much, Steve and Farmer.
All right. Bye-bye. Chat, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.